if you're building a membership, whatever the recurring revenue thing is, you want product market fit. And the way you do that is
welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and today I've got a new friend of mine, Leland Redfield, on the show. Leland, welcome.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's awesome to have you here. You've already dropped so many gems, like you mentioned. You qualify as a friend now because you've just given me so much free mentorship and stuff since we met a couple of weeks ago. But before we get started, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Who is Leland? Where are you from? What do you do? All that good stuff.
Sure. So I'm originally from Minnesota. My wife and I now live in Colorado. I used to own a bar. I had a personal bankruptcy from that business. I got into internet marketing and memberships. So I got hired by a startup in Broomfield, worked with them for about a year, and then started working for my wife's business full time. She's a YouTube yoga instructor. She's got, I think 1.5 million subscribers roughly today. And then she's got a paid membership and an app. And so we teach that business model to other people. And then her business has been pretty successful. So we do a lot of real estate investing and some retreats and stuff like that.
Very cool. And I remember when we met at the dinner, like the guys' night dinner that, our mutual friend Steven organized, and you told me her channel and I'm like, dude, I'm already subscribed. Like, how crazy is that? So there are only a couple of large YouTube channels that I can think of for yoga. And I know she's up there as one of them, right? So very cool to see what you've done. And that's been something that you have built, both of you have built together for about 10 years or so. Is that correct?
Yeah, she's been at it for 10 years. And we like to think that there's 3 legs of the stool. So she's the artist, the creative, right? The artist, the creative. And then we have a manager that she hired, and then there's an entrepreneur. And so I'm sort of the entrepreneur leg, how to weaponize things and make them profitable. But I don't do any management stuff or like customer service. I'm not very good at that. And she does most of the work. She's really good on camera. She understands YouTube SEO really well. She's very business savvy, right?
Savvy, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's kind of our triad. And so we've been at it for about 10 years, but we've only had the manager, the third piece, who she used to work for the management company or the software company that I worked for. So she had really good experience. We've had her for about 3 years. And that's from a sanity standpoint and just stabilizing the ship has been awesome because now everyone's in their sweet spot.
Awesome. So what made you want to hire that third leg of the stool? Were you doing everything? Were you overwhelmed? Were you not sure how to get organized? What was the driving factor there?
So we went to Tony Robbins' Business Mastery, and that's where we met. We met a couple of our partners there, but Tony talks about that triad, and that eMyth Revisited talks about the same triad. They use the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur, I think, but same philosophy. And as Tony explained it, I realized that I was trying to be an artist. I was trying to do a YouTube thing myself, and I was miserable. I mean, it was like pulling teeth to get me to set up the camera and talk. And but I was like, well, the business model makes sense. So I was trying to do that. And then as they explain like the entrepreneur personality and like, what do I spend my time doing? What do I fill my hours doing? I don't have any interest in creating content and building a YouTube channel. I really like the strategy and all that stuff. So when we were at Business Mastery, it was evident to Sarah and I both that I should be in that role. And then I basically stopped doing social media and like building my own channels because there's a huge conflict when I was trying to do it. It just wasn't right. And then Sarah was the artist and the creative, and together we were making like a pretty shitty manager. Like, because I had all these great ideas and then she would have to do work. And then in the middle is where like everything gets connected. Right. And I would put stuff on me that I wouldn't follow through with, or I would expect her to do things that wouldn't follow through with. And especially when you're like successful and growing, then that actually causes a lot of strain if you don't have somebody to pick up all the pieces. So Paige, Sarah's manager, is a lifesaver. She's great. And she's like the core of Sarah's business. And then Sarah has one editor, and then that's the size of the team.
That's so cool that you can accomplish so much with a relatively small and nimble team. Because you think of huge companies that have large overheads and so many people on their staff just to make a fraction of like what you guys are able to accomplish with that business. So really good stuff.
Yeah, that's Tim Ferriss, 4-hour work week, 10 years of grinding at that. But that's what's cool about the internet, right? It's leverage. And so, if you want to teach yoga, you can teach yoga to 1 million people at once. If you want to do real estate, you can do webinars where you have, thousands or even 100 people on, and make a tremendous amount of money. So, yeah, we're very lucky, but we've also been at it for like, 10 years. And you and I've chatted a lot, and you and I, you've got the same personality. Like, I really like it, like the whole internet marketing and just businesses. And it's really a fun environment for me. So we'll probably be at it for a while still.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really cool just to text back and forth, just different ideas. And I've consumed a lot of the content that you've recommended, including the podcasts that you had put together on Spotify. So if anyone's interested in that, I can definitely drop the link, because you drop a lot of knowledge in about 15 to 20 episodes, I believe it was, in terms of building a membership, structuring it, having a single offer, offering certain types of sales and things like that. Are all those strategies that you picked up along the way from various internet marketing conferences, or you just tested things? Any insight that you can share there?
Yes, all of the things. So when I was working at the membership company, I got to see a lot of different industries. I was a sales representative for a company that built memberships. So
was that the startup you said you worked at?
Yep. Yeah, it was
Okay,
a company called IntelliVideo. And they're just like Uscreen, or just like these other membership software companies. It's like, if you could think about like Netflix customized. So it's a video player customized for your brand.
Okay.
And so I was selling a lot of that. So we'd have people come in like horseback riding, that were teaching horseback riding lessons, trying to build their memberships. They worked with Core Power Yoga at the time. And so, but there's this huge launch process and people have to build it out, and you actually get to see the back end. That's where the really hard part about internet marketing is that everybody lies or they mislead you. Like,
It's all
everybody lies.
marketing.
They all, and you don't get to see the back end of a business. And so you don't really know what's working. You can see other people, oh, that person is doing ads, and it would be so nice to have a omnipresent ad strategy, but you don't know how much time and energy and effort they're putting into that. And so what was cool about working for IntelliVideo is you get to see the back end. So I would sign them up. We would build their website. We would do the launch plan. You would see what worked. You'd see what didn't work. And then you get to learn like who's keeping people around. Because a lot of people can launch really well, but they have churn. And then, is a monthly membership the best? Is it 3 months, 6 months, or a year, or lifetime? Like, there's all these little nuances to building memberships that, I think we had like 60 clients, at the time. And so we would do huddles with all of them, and we just would, just, what are you guys doing? How can we help you? Because IntelliVideo's model was a percentage revenue share. So like the incentives were all in line.
Okay.
And so I got tons of reps from that. None of those people were particularly great marketers. I shouldn't say that. Like, we come from a bootstrapping background, like single entrepreneur. So like lean and mean, we don't have big budgets. It's our money. It's not the company's money. And so, one of the big pivots was we went to Vid Summit. So IntelliVideo paid for us to go to Vid Summit. We saw a Gary Vee ad. And this was early Vid Summit. Vid Summit's a video marketing conference for entrepreneurs. It's like VidCon, but it's more business focused.
Okay.
And Sarah spoke at it, I think 3 years ago. But the first year we went, we learned a lot about business and membership in YouTube. So we got really good at SEO. We got really good at what's our business model? How are we using YouTube? One of the things with social media is like, if you go to a YouTuber, they might give you advice on growing your YouTube, which is more subscribers, more views. But if you're trying to, push your bottom line, you might want to trade less views for more valuable content, or more valuable keywords that are more aligned with your business, the bottom of the funnel. And so going to Vid Summit was great, because we learned all these different strategies of influencers who were playing the game a little bit differently, right? One of the things Jay Abraham talks about, he's like a really famous marketer, is that he had exposure to tons of different industries. And then he learned like, oh, this industry works over here, and I can do that over here. And so I had that same sort of experience with memberships, because I worked with IntelliVideo, and then I worked with a bunch of YouTubers who weren't doing memberships, but we launched memberships for them. So how do you start from scratch if you've never launched a membership? How do you do it successfully, or how do you minimize risk? And so a lot of repetition. And then after I started consulting, so once we got really good with Sarah's business model, I mean, her business was good, but we had a pretty good reputation because I worked with IntelliVideo, and I consulted for Uscreen, one of their competitors.
Mhm.
And we did like an accelerator with them, where I worked with a guy from New Zealand who does hog hunting with dogs. So he's got a big YouTube channel. He just hit 100,000 subs. So he was
Cool.
launching a premium membership on hog hunting, because a lot of the stuff on YouTube gets demonetized if you have some blood and gore on it.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, so a lot of repetition. So like, how does a hog hunter with dog make money with a membership? And then like a yoga instructor over here. We've got Pilates in Bali. We're working with a hypnotherapy guy in the UK. Another yoga instructor in Bali we met with today. So once you understand the principles, it's not really that much different. It's just sort of right tool, right time, and then kind of figuring out what the market wants. And YouTube and the internet tells you a lot of that stuff. It's not brilliant as much as what are people searching for, and then how do you deliver them good value.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a really cool part of your story that I did not know just yet. I just knew when we met briefly and you showed me the YouTube channel and the growth and the numbers and how long you've been at it. That's a really cool behind the scenes, behind the curtain insight that you were able to absorb and just mastermind with other business owners that were building and launching and growing. So you were able to apply that and do consultations for other people, or consulting for other people that needed those services.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this was before COVID, so everyone, like, memberships and online stuff wasn't the rave, and so no one was really doing it, and nobody was doing it really well. And even like all the softwares right now aren't particularly great either. But
Yeah.
4 years ago, to build a membership site was a lot more challenging than it is now. And now you probably know tons of people have recurring revenue
Mm-hmm.
offers, and I love it. I think it's great. It's such a great business model for families, for individuals. Yeah, it's tremendously powerful.
Absolutely. And do you mind sharing your recommendations on what you enjoy using currently for anyone listening who wants to build something like that? Anywhere they should go check out that you
Yeah.
recommend?
Well, so I would say the best software is no software. The best process is no process. The best part is no part. It's an Elon Musk quote.
Like, it doesn't matter. The software isn't the answer,
No.
right?
The best software is no software. So if you're trying to build, so I introduced you, I might have shared one of my mentors, Kevin Nations, with you. His business model is a private Facebook group. He does all of his messaging through Facebook. He doesn't have a software, doesn't have an email list. He's running a 6-figure business. He just did a post the other day. He did 615,000 in a small ticket event. So the reason I say that is that if you have a good offer, then people will come to you. If I say I'm going to give you my Rolls Royce for $5,000, you're not going to say, oh, boo-hoo, like I have to drive to Colorado to get it or whatever. You're going to say like, oh, that's $100,000 car or whatever. And it's a good deal. And so a lot of times people use software as an excuse, right? They're like, well, I would get started. I just need the right software. And then I'll be able to build. I don't want to get started on the wrong software and then build this big thing. And then it's like, you can't build anything right now. So
Yeah.
So always do, like, I always, like, if you're going to build something from scratch, start with just an email list, or start with just you don't need software. We call it the whiteboard method. So whatever your offer is, write down all the people on the whiteboard that could be potentially interested in it, and then message them. And then when you're delivering it, I mean, we've taught, it depends on what you deliver. That's always it depends. So for my wife's business, she's doing a yoga video membership. So if you're doing a video membership where you're not heavily involved, we use Uscreen as a software. So we use Uscreen, they give you an app or a membership site. There's different levels. And that's really good if you want a personal brand. I personally like doing just WhatsApp for coaching or consulting. I'll say, yeah, how does it work? you pay me and then we have a WhatsApp chat together. And like, if you have questions, you just ask them, because then I don't need to worry about an email list. Or I don't need to do funnels. Or I don't need to do video editing. And that's better for me, but it's a trade-off, right? Because if you're doing something like, like you, where you're building a brand or you're building a presence online, there's a big benefit to growing an email list long-term. Like my wife's business has, over 100,000 people on her email list. We can do birthday sales and we can, do a lot of money, and we can do, lots of stuff, but there's a tremendous amount of management that goes into it. She can't walk away from it as quick and easily. She can't, there's costs with the software. I mean, at her scale, it's more expensive just because she has a higher volume, but yeah. So to give people an actual answer, if you're a beginner and you want a software, Kajabi is what I recommend right now. Kajabi will give you the 3 things you need. You need email collection. Like, you ultimately need email collection because your list is your money. So Kajabi gives you email collection. It's very user-friendly for design. So you don't need to be smart, which is good. And it gives you email marketing. And so email marketing is going to be how we make money, but that's also how a lot of people. We don't do a lot of marketing publicly on the social media space. We do a lot of our sales in email because it's more intimate. It's just easier. But you need your email list. So Kajabi gives you that, and then you need then you need payment processing. Okay. Right. Kajabi gives you payment processing. They also give you coupon codes, and they give you some other stuff you can't do easily with PayPal or with some of the other free ones. They also protect your content, so you can do paywalls, and you can do and then you can have multiple offers. You can do discounts, coupon codes. You can do affiliates as well. So if you have people that want to promote your product for you, they can track all that stuff for you. You pay out through PayPal, but they can track it, which is actually complicated. If you have 5 people that want to promote your offer, if they do it successfully on the back end, it's not as clean as a lot of people think it is. It's kind of it can be complicated. Software like Kajabi, it's really easy. You just copy, give them the link, and then it's all good. And then you can send people the outcomes, and everybody can see it. And there's other softwares you can use, but ultimately, a lot of times you need what's called a software stack. Yep. And so you want as few softwares as possible. Like my opinion, work the best. Well, again, it's just the complexity makes things difficult. You should only add a software if you need to. Yep. And so if you're a beginner and you're just getting started, Kajabi will do 99% of the stuff that you might encounter in the future, depending on what you're trying to build. But you can do the same thing with ActiveCampaign, Infusionsoft. ClickFunnels does a lot of it, not quite all, like some of it. But for my wife's business, we use Kartra. Kartra does it as well. Yeah. See, there's tons of them. Samcart. Samcart doesn't quite do emailing, but Samcart has some other advantages. There's lots of them, but people get bogged down on that question. And really it's like when we were doing the profit playbook for you the other day, most people can't answer that first question. Like, what do you do for people? How do you explain it to a 4-year-old? And they're like, no, I need to figure out what softwares I need. It's like
they haven't done the basics, and it's funny because I know you just said too, they're worried about, well, what happens when we scale up and we've got 100,000 plus emails and they don't even have like an email list at all going on. And they're looking at step 15 when they haven't even taken steps 1 through 5. Right. Yeah. Well, I love that advice though.
They're guessing. They think that that's step 15, but they don't know. Like, that's why you have to start with the whiteboard method, or with what you have to sell it one-on-one first. And then you get one client and you replace yourself with video as you go. Like first you train people one-on-one, and then you create videos to train them. Then as you get more people, they watch your videos. And so, but you can't start with the videos first. You need to start by training people and getting throughput. Sam Evans calls it throughput, getting results. And then you can just record those same videos and build out. But you have to build from the ground up. And most people want, no, I'm going to build out my entire membership first, and then I'm going to go try to sell it. And that like wastes 3 months of your life and a lot of time, energy, effort, things you could be, so you really want to minimize risk. And Ryan Holiday calls it product market fit. And that's really, I mean, if he was one of the original growth hackers, but if you're building a membership, whatever the recurring revenue thing is, you want product market fit. And the way you do that is you go from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100. You don't try to plan out for, I'm going to do 10,000 right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, it's still a good question to ask, like what software should I use?
Yeah. So the short answer for anyone who was like, wait, what was the answer again? Kajabi is what you said.
Yes.
Is probably the easiest for someone just starting off. It does the email
So,
collection, the marketing, and all
yes,
that.
the biggest mistake most people say that start with is I need to build a website. Like the number one most like thing you do not need to do is build a website, because a website is just a brochure. Like we built a 7-figure business. We don't have a website. We don't send people to websites. We send people to opt-ins, just to,
Yep.
single page, free gift. But if you're trying to build a profitable business and get recurring revenue and, free yourself up to do what you really love, Tim Ferriss explains it so beautifully. You don't need a website. You need an offer. You need a free gift, an offer, and then you need something to sell. Doesn't even need to be your product.
Yeah. And you guys do a really good job. You walked me through the Sarah Beth Yoga YouTube channel, where you are pointing to the most profitable click, which is the opt-in to the email list. You also have the links in all the videos. So like everyone listening right now, like Leland said, you don't need the fancy brochure website. You need an offer, like an opt-in, a freebie that's of value to collect an email address and fuel the business. And like you also mentioned, most of your intimate emails and communications and offers are all in the emails. You're not doing ads and things like that. You prefer the organic to the paid, right?
Yeah, we've dabbled with paid, but we've never done it very well. A lot of people look at Sarah's brand. It's a low ticket fitness offer, right? And so people look at it because she's got, a lot of followers and everybody thinks they can scale it, but paid ads is hard to scale anyway. And doing it at like a low ticket price is really, really challenging. Most of the people who are doing paid ads have like a $5,000 plus, and they're eating $4,000 per client, and then they have manager fees and all that stuff. So we prefer organic. So most 90-ish% of our leads come through YouTube organic. The other 10% come through Facebook, Instagram. And then we basically offer short free videos, and then we get people on our email list by offering, either a free members only video that's, kind of aligned. So if they watch a prenatal yoga video, we'll offer them a prenatal members only video in exchange for their email. Right.
Yep.
And then once we have their email, then we'll say, hey, if you like that video, you might like our prenatal program that's only available in the membership. Like, would you like to buy it? And that's basically the whole workflow from YouTube. And then she's got like 300 videos out there. So multiply that times 300.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I definitely did my digging around when you mentioned it. I kind of went through the funnel, subscribed to the email list, saw what the offers were. And it kind of blew my mind too, how you talked about how you've got the different email marketing, like a couple of sequences or whatever that's specific to the playlist that the person landed upon, but it all ultimately drives towards the same offer, so that you're not overcomplicating it. Because so many people would probably think, well, I need 5 different courses, one for prenatal, one for name A, B, or C, right? Whatever the playlist names are, people would assume that you probably need multiple memberships, which would complicate it. So that I love the simplicity thing that you talked about earlier in terms of make it simple. The more complex, the more difficult it is for yourself in terms of even software systems, let alone the offer. So really cool
so the interesting thing, so people get stuck in a product launch cycle. So you have a new product and you have to like hype it up and you have to launch it, and then you make money and then you're done, right?
One and done.
Yep. And so, but that's fine. You can keep doing it over and over again. People have built really, really big businesses, but we do that same model, but we just sell to our membership, and it's recurring. And the thing that we're product launching is only available in the membership, and it's going to be a special offer that's going away, when we do it. And so, but it simplifies things for us because we only have one offer. We have one thing to manage. We don't have the 2 bones and 1 dog problem, where you've got 2 bones and the dog's like, I don't know what to choose. And I've been around a lot of people, because when I worked with IntelliVideo and Uscreen, not everybody did memberships. A lot of them did video on demand. So they were selling one-off products and one-off programs. So then you have, a list of 10,000 or 100,000 people, and you might have like 7 different tags and and then you need to figure out a email strategy for all of them or make it simple. And so
it's complicated.
Yeah, we're simpletons. So we have one offer, and then we do sort of a product launch formula. If you're familiar with product launch formula, Jeff Walker. Yep. Similar style to that when we're launching a new thing in the membership, because we can publicly say, hey, the Tone 2.0 program's coming out June 1, get excited, sign up, and we can build all that hype around it. But you can still create the sense of urgency. Sense of urgency is the big issue that a lot of people have with membership. So you got to figure out a way to create that desire to buy now.
Absolutely. And I would imagine that also helps reduce the churn, because people who are thinking, oh, I already went through all the videos, they don't want to miss out on the new stuff coming out. Is that kind of correct? Is that another part of the strategy?
Yep, exactly. And so we do that. And then we also have a members only email that goes out every month. And it's like, thank you. Sarah donates some of her money to Operation Underground Railroad. And so in the members only email, we thank them first, so they feel like they're contributing. And then we announce what's coming next month and then what they have to look forward to the month after. Okay. And that way, yeah, exactly. So they have a reason to stick around. But that being said, we try not to push month-to-month memberships. It's the same strategy, whether it's 3 months or 6 months or a year, but we push people towards 3-month kind of minimum, but depending on the offer, we might do 6 months. But the monthly people often churn a lot. They complain the most. They're just not the best customers. So we gear people towards the longer offers, cool. which helps with churn as well.
Yeah. So I'm sure maybe it lowers the conversion rate slightly, where less people may take you up on the 3 month. They're like, I want something that's month to month. You kind of weed out the people who may not be the best fit and would likely churn anyway.
So it's tough to tell. So because
tracking's tough, I'm sure.
Well, tracking's tough. The tracking over time's tough too, because the lifetime value of a customer, again, you'd think it would be very easy with software. It's not as easy with the software that we had. But so one of the things Digital Marketer talks about is an aha moment. So people buy after an aha moment. Kevin Nations tells this story about when he was at a party with a bunch of Instagram people. He's an internet guy, so he knows a bunch of Instagram internet people, and great party. It was super fun. Then afterwards, he got home and he saw the pictures on Facebook, and he looked fat, is what he said. And so that day, that was his aha moment. It was like, today is the day it's changing, right? And he hired called a trainer, and he was buying. Like, it wasn't like
it was done.
I'm not shopping, right? And so that being said, you want to craft these aha moments, and then the buyers, like, they might buy a monthly or an annual. They're buying, like, you know what I mean? And
once you can create that moment,
once they have that moment, right? So both, right? You want to create it, but they're also going to have it. But if you put a $100 offer in front of them or a $1 offer, they're going to buy whatever one you put in front of them, right? And so you want to aim towards the, what is it? One in the hand's better than two in the bush.
Yep.
So you always want to aim towards the bigger ones, because you just need less customers to make more money, right? And you would hope that the monthly people would stick around for 12 months, but they almost never do. One of the early conflicts I got into when I was working with a team of pro bowlers was I was saying this. I was like, we need to push annuals, and we need to push like annuals and a free bowling ball, and then the new guys basically ran a free 27 days monthly offer, and they got like 87 people to buy, and it was like, and so they triumphantly in our WhatsApp group were like, 87 people times 12 at $49 a month, we just made $18,000. And I was like, these guys are all going to cancel like right before they get charged. Like, you won't make any money off of it. And it was like, to me, it was so obvious that would happen, just because we've done it before. We've done and we've seen other people do month-long trials. And in televideo, everyone's like 14-day, and there's all this bad data that says that that's really good, because they're looking at the front end conversions. Yeah, they're not looking at the back end. And it's like, and so sure enough, 27 days later, and they start dropping like flies. And I wasn't haha, because it was like those guys were you only have so many offers you can make a year. They wasted that one, like a lot. And we had just done a big challenge. And so we had all this hype, and we could have come in with an annual offer for like $500, giving away a free bowling ball, $800, and had $400 in profit. And then all these people are in the membership, which is how to bowl. It's like a professional bowler. So they're getting better, right? And then they'll want to stay around. You can network, you can sell them more bowling balls. And so, yeah, so the monthly offers we really steer away from. There's a term free pull, which people use where
they're looking for free offers.
Yeah. And even just like the people on YouTube that complain about getting free videos on YouTube, it's like,
it's free.
Yeah.
It's
you know what I mean?
free.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so we gear towards the longer memberships it's just a better community. It's more money. Right. And then also when they have that aha moment, you really want to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it also makes sense to just follow what other marketers are doing. You see that Russell Brunson's out there offering the free plus shipping, where you have to pay $7 or $8 for shipping. Mm-hmm. I feel like the free pull would be like, oh, I'm not paying $7 for shipping, right? So you would never even get them on the list.
So here's the rub with the free plus shipping thing. So Sam Ovens tried it, and he's like, it fucked up my whole business.
Really?
He said in a video, yeah. And then Justin, there's another good marketer who says that he loves it. Here's why that works. It's because of the aha moment, right? I need help with marketing. I'm struggling. Russell's the GOAT, right? He's one of the best marketers. He puts this great offer.
Yep.
He puts this great offer in front of you. It's free, so you're likely to do it. Plus shipping and handling. That's kind of a fair offer, but that's not where he makes any of his money, because you had your aha moment, and now you have to wait 7 days for the book to come, right?
So you're still looking for the answer, but then
you want it now. Yes, you want it now. All of the money's on the back end.
Right.
All of it. And it's
plus
tremendous.
Their products that they promote, their software.
It's tremendous. Yep. And so, and that's part of the back end for him, right? Because the book's the front end. I actually have his little graph somewhere here. Books are the front end, right? ClickFunnels up, and then, 2 Comma Club, Quanta, like that. That's his ladder, his escalation.
Right.
But that mechanism works because people have this aha moment, and they're like, my business sucks. Like I need to do it now. They buy it, and they're like 7 to 10 days. Fuck. Like the digital version plus this upsell, right? And also the other trick to it is like, so Russell's got this big project, anybody's got this big offer back here, and then they just slice away a little bit of it, and then they put it on the front, free plus shipping, right? Okay. And then the upsell is the whole thing, and they're like, oh wait, now that I have this little piece, like, well, and it's like, now that I have this little piece, I'm gonna need the rest of this stuff right over here, and so it's, once you start with your big pie offer, you just slice that off, and then that's how you come up with your free gifts, and that's how you come up with your upsells, because that's how it's aligned, right? You gotta
right.
But the free gift offer, free book offer, people, if you don't understand the mechanisms behind it, if you're just doing a free gift shipping, free book plus shipping and handling offer, and you don't have a back end set up, you probably won't be profitable, because you'll lose money. It's called a loss leader, right? It's the same reason Costco puts the rotisserie chicken at the back of the store. Like they lose money on all that stuff.
Through the store, right?
Yep, they lose money on that. Same thing with their food court. They lose money on all that stuff, but it's a loss leader. Russell's is a loss leader for his book. It gets a lot of leads in, but you make your money on the third or fourth upsell. A lot of times you'll lose money on the first 2 or 3, but you get that one person who joins the platinum that's like 10K, and you get all your money back on that one offer. So, but the aha moment's the mechanism that supports that funnel.
Right. And that was very helpful when we did that Zoom call a week or 2 ago. At this point, you were talking about the value ladder, the free gift. Everything is really just the next logical step in that process of scratching that itch for that person. So like you mentioned with the free plus shipping, they got the book, now they're waiting. They want the audio version and maybe whatever that, I haven't been through the funnel in a while. I got the books a while back, but I'm sure it's changed and it's been split tested a few times to really dial it in and appeal to that psychological itch to get more, because we live in that, instantaneous society. People want something today. So when they see a digital offer that they can just sign up for immediately and at least get something, it can probably give them that dopamine hit that they're looking for of, okay, I solved that problem that I had in my mind.
Well, and the other things are, you've already put your credit card information in.
Exactly. That's so crucial, because now it's a one-click upsell and they've already got your info.
Yep. And so like it's all about, eliminating friction points along the way. And
So good.
yeah, Russell's a goat. He's dangerous though. People,
Watch out. Yeah, you're
yeah,
gonna spend $5,000 before you realize it.
yes.
I mean, even with his breakthrough day of doing a 10x, he made 6 million in sales or something crazy like that in a day from stage
Yep.
at the
Yeah.
10x conference. That's
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
I think it was 3K or 3 million.
Was it 3 million? I saw his
Yeah.
post about it where that was one of the highs in his life where he thought that would be it, but like he's always still looking for that
Well,
next thing, right?
Yeah, he wanted to make $1 million an hour or something was his goal. And so I think I think he did more than that. But yeah, he's
amazing.
He's impressive, and he's coming out with his new personal development book now. So I'm I mean, as much as people give him shit, like he's one of the greatest internet marketers of our time. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know there's so many things that we can learn from people, and there's always going to be people talking shit no matter what. So I feel like just take it with a grain of salt. If you don't have haters, you're not doing enough, right?
Yep.
So I guess I'm not doing enough. I don't have enough people trolling me on YouTube yet. Do you guys get a bunch of troll comments or anything like this yoga video sucks?
Yeah. So we do. Yeah. So we have one. I might have told you this. Excuse me. We have one word blacklisted on our YouTube channel, and it's vegan. Turns out that vegans are mean on the internet. I don't know.
Maybe because they're just always hungry. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the running joke, right? Is that but so yeah, we've had some issues with vegans because like you can't be yogic and eat meat, and you can't eat dairy or whatever people have their beliefs, and so you obviously can, but
that's like the belief, yeah.
So we do. Sarah gets a lot of shit, but she now that she has one. She does actually have one part-time person that I didn't mention who does a lot of all the comments and stuff and navigates that. So Sarah doesn't.
Cool.
That owning a brand is a tremendous burden on mental health. And so anything you can do to mitigate it, or to, a lot of celebrities don't even have cell phones anymore. They don't do Twitter. They don't do,
wow.
it's a dark,
I know,
it's a dark, hate-filled world on the internet and
it's
in the wrong corners.
And even if you have 1 million amazing friendly comments and supportive comments, like you're going to think of that one where someone just made a personal attack on your looks or appearance or, your yoga abilities or whatever. So it's just funny because we always gravitate towards the things that aren't going well in our lives. And that one comment is all it takes to kind of ruin your mental clarity a little bit for the day. And, trying to be positive and overcome that can be very difficult.
Yes. That's one of the tricks that I've learned is to refer to those people as your mascot.
Okay.
Because it's a mental shift that you can just say, oh, you're my mascot. You're cheering me on. It was Scott Adams mentioned it, but he said that he used to own a restaurant or he worked at a restaurant at this time, but the manager fired the guy, and then the guy that got fired stood out front and was protesting.
Okay.
And it was just like a small town bar. And then he walked in, and Scott was like to the owner, what the hell are we gonna do about this guy? And he goes, oh, our mascot, he's fine, just leave our mascot. And so, but that frame's really helpful because my wife deals with it a lot. That's why I don't do social media. I just don't, it can just ruin your day. It's not for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so powerful because you mentioned that, and then another guy recently interviewed on the show. He also mentioned he's primarily on YouTube and he hates social media. He's only on it because the scalability, the ability to grow the business, record his videos, do his thing, and it continues to grow on autopilot somewhat. I mean, with the right keyword research and all of that. Because the mental health part of it, of not wanting to be in comparison mode and seeing what others are doing and feeling lack of how you should be further along, but you don't seem like you are compared to that person. Everyone's just trying to do their ultimate flex daily on social media. And you never really know, you mentioned that earlier, you never really know, are all these ads, are they actually successful? How much money are they making on the back end? Are they just breaking even and just appearing omnipresent, and then they really go bankrupt a year from now because they just don't have the funds coming in? Like, you really never know.
Yeah. Yep. And with A/B testing and everything, the longer you listen, the sweeter the pitch.
That's so true. They're just dialing it in a little bit more.
Well, and you and I both we do internet marketing, we do real estate, and so we're in those ecosystems where it's a measuring contest all the time. And it can be, it can be, especially for, you and I are both, we have ambition to do big things. And yeah, that comparison game can be a trap. Although on the flip side, it can be really inspiring. I've had a couple people that are like, holy shit, I'm doing X amount per month. And I didn't think that was possible. And if you trust them, then it's like, oh, well, it is possible. I can do that.
That's how I felt when I met you guys. And I'm like, wow, okay, I need to think bigger. You guys are doing it in a month what I initially had as like my annual goal just a couple of years ago. I wrote that down. The longer you listen, the sweeter the pitch. And also salespeople, like you get sold, anytime I hear someone who's got a great pitch and they really know what they're talking about, I'm a sucker. I pull out my credit card. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give you a chance because you got the whole presentation dialed in, maybe a little bit too quickly sometimes when I don't even necessarily need it.
That's a quote from the movie Revolver with Jason Statham. It's one of my favorite movies, but it's
that's awesome. I haven't seen it.
He's getting conned basically, and so it's just this long con, and he says that he's like, don't listen to it, like walk away. The longer you listen, the sweeter the pitch. It's a great movie though. Check it out.
I gotta check it out. I love Jason Statham, all his action movies, Expendables.
It's Guy Ritchie, so it's also same guy that did Snatch.
Cool.
I mean, it's on his college paper on the ego. It was like,
have to
he
check
spent
it out.
7 years on it. Yeah. And if you like con and persuasion and entrepreneurship, they're in like a fake Vegas. It's a really fun one. You'll like it.
Random tidbit from the episode for the listeners. Let's go watch Revolver this weekend. I don't think I've really heard of it or seen the trailer, but definitely going to make time for that one.
Well, I hope your audience supports that claim. And
we'll see. I'm very picky with movies because I feel like Rotten Tomatoes and all these different review platforms will be very good with movies that I find terrible, and they'll be very harsh on movies that I thought were good. So maybe I just have the opposite personality than the majority of people. I really don't know.
Yeah, who knows? The new ones now, if a new movie comes out, like if a Disney movie comes out, then Marvel has all these bots that are shitting on them.
Yeah,
on Rotten Tomatoes, right? So there's like,
it's probably just skewing the numbers too.
Yep, there's a battle going on that nobody knows about. It's because you want to have bad launch days, because if you have a good launch day, then you make a bunch of money. If you have a bad launch, you know what I mean? So it's
like with Top Gun and the algorithms and all the comments and
Top Gun was, but
I heard it was amazing. I need to go watch it still.
It's a battle, right? So like, you're just like politics. If somebody else is running, you undermine their credibility. If it's a Marvel movie and they're your competitor, Disney, not Disney, but DC would be DC would be undermining their credibility. And so never trust the reviews.
See, that's why it's so hard these days with like reviews and ads and the news. Like I never know. Everyone's just shitting on each other. So I'm just gonna turn it all off.
You gotta find the right people to trust, and that's it. And then just absolutely shut down all the ads.
Just go outside and walk around, do grounding, walk around barefoot in the sun. Like that's what I do. And I just turn off everything else because it's all, you see the futuristic movies of like fake holograms and like adult clubs with virtual reality and stuff. It's kind of creepy, but I feel like that's where the world's going to with technology and automation. And so, yeah, just turn it all off sometimes and just unplug. And you're a living example of how you can still build a successful business and still hold those beliefs at the same time that like social media is kind of a waste of time and bad for mental health.
I would say for me personally, I don't tweet or I post pictures of my family. I love Twitter though. I think Twitter's super fun. And I like other people arguing. Right. To me, yes. So the internet's fun.
I think that's why Jerry Springer's so popular too, right? Like you want to see other people's problems on stage and like, oh dang, baby mom over here.
Yeah. Like, so I would love to be like a political consultant in the future, because I would love to support other people's arguments and help them persuade and frame but I don't want to be the one doing that because
a lot of pressure too, and just you're in the spotlight.
For now, I don't want to be in the spotlight, but if that changes, but definitely like being behind the scenes and helping other people craft arguments or persuade, or even like as I'm doing with businesses, it's, how do you create a good offer? But yeah, that stuff's fun. If you enjoy persuasion, then politics is really fun, in my opinion, and Twitter is really fun, in my opinion.
People watching.
If you like persuasion, because there's,
it's like debate.
Yeah, it's like debate, but there's, you can hire out people, you can set frames, you can sell past the sale, like would you like to buy this car in red or blue? It's like there's all these ways that you can, if you've ever studied persuasion, it's fascinating. And that's why I follow Scott Adams a lot. And that's why I think Twitter's fun. So I don't want to shit on the internet and say that I don't partake, because my watch time or my screen time is very high. But I enjoy it. So I don't, like, we were talking about John DeMartini recently a lot. I don't view it as a conflict of interest. I don't feel like that the internet's got me, right? It's like, I have fun doing all of it. I actually learned persuasion from it. It's not as mindless as a lot of people use the internet.
Yes. You're more intentional about it though.
Yeah. But it's totally like junk,
Yeah. And I think you can learn so much. It's as long as, I think I might've mentioned Miles Beckler to you. I've been following him for a while. He always talks about produce more than you consume. And now that I've had that mindset about it, it's helped so much with being conscientious of, okay, hold on, I'm 3 YouTube videos in. Let me actually switch and create some content and record 2 episodes today type thing. It's been something intentional where I can shift from consumption to production and put that hat on of let me be the content creator instead of just subscribing and liking and watching the full videos from all these different people. While it may be great content, I think it's best to somewhat limit it and just be conscientious of how is your time spent in terms of a production to consumption ratio.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So in terms of the triad, right? Entrepreneur, manager, artist, creating's a artist role. Like, which hat do you think you fit in the most in? Right now, from what we've talked, you're doing all of them, right? Yep. And most people that are in your situation are going to be doing most of them or multiple. But like, which one is your sweet spot? If you could spend most of your day doing one, which one do you really like?
That's a great question. I feel sometimes that the creating part does seem a little bit like a chore, and I just feel like I'm doing it for the sake of keeping up with the episodes. Solo episodes have been harder for me than just conversations like this. But at the same time, I've gotten away from these types of conversations because I feel like I was just interviewing so many random people. So I love creating, if that makes sense, but with others, because right now you and I are creating value for the audience, hopefully, with some funny little tangents.
Cross your fingers.
Go watch Revolver. We'll see how valuable that movie is, but Jason Statham's awesome. So we're creating value here. I'm getting to know you. I'm learning. I'm enjoying this versus me sitting here for 30 minutes recording a solo video and just filling time with things that I think people will like to hear, right? Does that make sense? So I do value the connection piece, which I'm tying into creation for purposes of my podcast. Does that kind of answer the question? Does that make sense? Yep.
Yeah. And that's alignment wise, right? You would want to be doing more of this and less of the other stuff.
Right.
Right. And like, I'm very much like you. The podcast that I do, I love this stuff, but me sitting down on a mic, I can do it, and I have, but that's just not, it feels like work, right?
And you can't get the energy, like you can in this conversation when you're just looking at the webcam and just yourself.
That's a John DeMartini thing though, right? You can't get the energy because you're not inspired by it, right? You're motivated by it. It's an external, it's an injected value. The things that you are inspired by, that you have energy to do, you just do them. You have the energy. It's not, there's no, I need to get a cup of coffee. And so it's like having that awareness of this is not motivating me is like, oh, burn that shit to the ground and figure out this stuff. Yep. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no, right?
Yeah. Thanks for that recommendation, by the way. Super solid book. I actually just finished it today. For anyone interested,
congratulations.
I finished it in like a week or something. I think you told it to me maybe a week or 2 ago. And as soon as I started, I was hooked. Dr. John DeMartini's Ultimate Wealth Mastery Library. It's about 16 hours in Audible. I don't know if the time changes depending on the speed, but I was at 1.2x, and super great information. And one thing that he mentioned that kind of aligns with what you just said is that a good indication of if you enjoy something is if it gives you more energy than it takes. Like if you are at the end of your day and you still have a ton of energy, good sign you're in alignment. If you're drained and you just can't even make it up, stay up past 7 p.m., you're probably not 100% in alignment with what you enjoy doing.
Yeah. And be ruthless about that, right? The goal is to get rid of all of the things that are uninspiring. And he talks about the difference between motivation and inspiration. So that inspiration's that eternal internal drive that pushes you to do things that comes from within. motivation's all external forces. And
Yeah.
so you do not want to be ruled by motivation, although we all start out that way, right? You're all ruled by,
Money
you know,
motivation or materials
well,
or
your
things
parents
like that.
first. You know,
Yeah.
you got to get dressed and clean because your parents said so. And then you got to do this because you have homework. And then you got to, all of those are external motivations, and you're growing up and then those get injected into your life. And then you get confused because you don't know if those are the things you value or, well,
You're
actually,
supposed to value.
yeah, most people think that those are the things you should do and you shouldn't feel good about or inspired about the things you should do. Like, you know, a lot of our parents' generation was, you know, go to the 9 to 5 job and grind.
Right.
And that was the expectation, not live an inspired life. Right. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, the John DeMartini about just being ruthless about, but the other trade-off, or not trade-off, the important thing is that if you're inspired by it, you know, you turn on the right parts of your brain and you actually have the ability to add the most value. Versus
Exactly.
if you're pushing the other buttons, you're operating from a lower, your brain's just on a lower level, and you can feel it once you've like really studied DeMartini and just kind of understood that inspiration motivation. You can
Mhm.
feel your brain shut down when somebody starts talking about something that you're not interested in. You
Yeah,
can literally feel it.
I'm working on my list of 200 ways
Oh,
that building wealth will improve my life, and I'm at 50 and I'm like, man, what else? Unlimited toys for my dog, like the
yeah. Well,
best
so
treats.
even like good, bad, ugly, right? So Jason, my wife's editor's dog just tore his ACL,
Oh
her
wow.
ACL, right?
So just
ACL
ability to take
surgery,
care of that. Yeah.
ACL surgery for the dog, right? Or being able to take care of the dog, or having a nice kennel that you can pay for the dog to be in while you and your girlfriend or wife or fiance go and travel. And
Yeah.
so
That's
there's all
awesome.
these like trees that you can, but it takes a lot of, once you get the list of 200, then you're like, oh, you just naturally go forward. Like that's what John's
And
point
it's on
is.
your mind. You can appreciate it more. And every time you're working towards wealth, his concept was that you're going to gravitate more towards, look at all the things I can do if I transform my vision of wealth and make it higher on my priority list instead of just kicking the can down the road and hoping that things are going to work out.
Yeah. Well, and even having the delusion about, do you actually want to be wealthy? Right. Because
I had
most
a lot
people,
of questions like that come up, like, dang, do I say I want it or do I really want it?
yeah. And it's not like, and his like, do I really want it isn't go work harder. Like there's a component to it, but it's like, if you're not studying wealth, if you're not like understanding investments and if you're not like out studying it, it's probably not in your top 5 and you probably don't have a chance. A lot of people want the millionaire lifestyle. They want the jet skis and they want like the limousine or the Lambo or whatever, but they don't study. They don't know how HELOCs work. They don't know how to buy their first house. They don't know, like they haven't started investing or saving, or they don't have, or they're wildly speculating, right?
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
gonna do this get rich quick. And so there's all these layers that if you actually want to be wealthy, and we're learning, I'm not at all like an expert, but once you study John DeMartini's book, you're like, oh yeah, if you don't do this, you're kind of
You're
fucked
not going to
eventually.
make
Like,
it.
yeah, you're just
Right.
not going to make it. And if you do make it, if you don't have those buffers or those cushions, your mental state, you will have a better mental state the more cushions and the more layers you have financially. And that's like the part of the wealth. It's not just the bank account, it's the ability to feel stable and to feel like when shit hits the fan, we've got 3 HELOCs with $750,000 of equity, and we can,
We
or
can
if we
make it
have
through.
a big opportunity, we know we can go take advantage of it. Right now, interest rates go up, a lot fewer buyers are out there, right? And so if you've got some cash, you might be able to get a pretty good deal. And but part of that wealth is that like those cushions and that flexibility and being liquid,
Yeah.
not just like, there's so many people who are hitting retirement age and have 500 or $1 million in the bank account, and they're faced with that 2 hourglass problem, right? Where you've got your retirement account and you turn that hourglass upside down and the money's draining, and then you've got your life. You got
Yeah.
both of them turning upside down. And so, you want your life to run out before your money. But yeah, so you want to prioritize for cash flow. And that was, with John DeMartini, the escalation for how you should spend your money was so logical and so not not risky, just foundational good
Makes
advice.
sense.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, I was pumped that you took action and read that, because it gives us a lot we can talk about in the future, and a good framework
100%.
to communicate. Yeah.
And I know you have a hard stop in 4 minutes, so I would love to talk more about this, and maybe we can connect soon, or if you can make it out to that next guys night. I know you said you may be out of town by then, so no worries, but we'll chat about it. Where can our audience listen to what you have to say, connect with you? You could pitch your mastermind, anything that you have to offer. You've added so much value here, so I really appreciate your time.
Sure. So the podcast you mentioned earlier is called the Membership Minute. It's a very old podcast, but it's got a lot of the stuff that I teach and I train. And then through that, you should be able to get a hold of me somehow. You can find me on LinkedIn. I do have a year-long mastermind. It's like an incubator for people who are doing $1,000 or less. That's $1,000 for the year. And then I'm investing in businesses who I think I could help grow. And so if you know people who are doing YouTube and stuff that might be a good fit, I'd love to meet them. And if I can help them, and I really like talking and meeting other creators. So don't hesitate. Don't be shy.
Absolutely. And for everyone listening, I mean, Leland's already connected with me and given me so many amazing pointers and tips, and we've texted back and forth. And the book that he recommended, like, that was exactly what I needed too. So that was all just value that you were just dropping off the top of your head. So I can't even imagine what you offer to like your paid coaching members in terms of access and answering questions via WhatsApp. All of that is very helpful. So everyone, make sure to take Leland up on this. And Leland, thanks again, man. Really appreciate your time. And I'll let you know as soon as this goes live. I can't wait to share this with everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.